So the US and Iran have agreed to a 2-week ceasefire with the Strait of Hormuz to be reopened. But how will that happen and what impact will this have on fuel supplies? Salvatore Mercogliano is a maritime expert from Campbell University in North Carolina and joins us now. Good to see you, Sal. So your thoughts firstly on today's developments?
It's an amazing development. Thank you for having me. I'm really curious to see what exactly we see happen, particularly watching the Strait of Hormuz very closely. We haven't seen ships begin to move yet toward it. If this is a valid agreement and they can get movement, I expect to see a large exodus out of the Strait of Hormuz, as a lot of these ships which have been stuck inside the strait since the end of February will make a move toward the exit and really get away from being locked up.
We're looking at a live map of the satellite map of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, as you say, there doesn't seem to be much movement at the moment, but is it going to take time for things to get going? And do you expect to see a full reopening of the strait? Because Iran has said it will be reopened, quote, with coordination with Iran's armed forces. What does that mean?
I think no one's going to make a move for the strait yet until they get a clear indication of what this is. If, based on those wordings, for example, it sounds like you're going to have to make clearance through the Iranians, which means potentially sailing between Qishm and Larak Island, their so-called toll booth for heading out. Doesn't make it sound like it's really clear to move yet. And obviously, there's certain ships that are going to be more hesitant to move. There are 5 U.S. ships that are inside the Persian Gulf that have been in there since the beginning. I think other allied ships may be a little leery about coming out. I think it's really going to be a question of what the clearance of the Strait of Hormuz is. Will the U.S. be able to send ships in there, particularly Navy ships, to provide security? Will there be an investigation to determine there's no mines set in the center of the Strait of Hormuz? There's still a lot of unknowns before we really start seeing ship movements.
Yeah, so if things do start moving, you're saying their route will be affected through the strait?
I think we're definitely going to see a change. It's going to be a question of the Iranians giving permission to go, which is something that they have gotten de facto control. One of the things that we've seen is while the U.S. has been prosecuting missions in and around Iran, they have basically surrendered control of the Strait of Hormuz to Iran. Iran's been controlling it. We've seen vessels moving through their checkpoint to come in. I think right now many ships are going to be very hesitant about heading to the strait until they have guarantees of safety. Remember, the war started with Iran attacking a series of ships on March 1st. We've had somewhere in the range of 30 ships attacked and about 11 merchant mariners killed, including 1 ship sunk.
Is it possible to say, Sal, how many ships, tankers will need to get through to make a real difference to oil prices and therefore petrol and diesel prices?
I think the big issue here is going to be not so much the vessels coming out, but do vessels return back in? Because you're going to uncork the bottle, so to speak, and you're going to have a flood of vessels come out. But we've had 5 weeks worth of drought coming out of the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf. And while we'll get a lot of relief from the tankers and liquefied natural gas carriers and all the other loaded ships coming out, I don't expect to see the same level of traffic heading back in, especially if there's only a 2-week window here. And even if there is peace in the Middle East declared, I don't think many shipping companies are going to return back to this route at the level they were beforehand. So I think damage has been done to the global supply chain, at least in terms of the Persian Gulf.
Some ships, tankers, have been making it through before today's announcements, hadn't they? Was that through private negotiation with Iran?
We've seen a mix of that. We've had a couple of ships that have made the run independently. So from several small corporations, Greek-owned vessels, we've seen the Omanis run several vessels through the southern end of the canal, but through the strait. But we think most of them are being negotiated with Iran. We've seen Indian vessels, Pakistani, Chinese vessels. We even saw several Japanese vessels come out. So we think there's individual agreements being made. We don't know, for example, if there's a toll being paid, if there's some sort of monetary payment for this, or if there's just some sort of agreement to get them out. But we do know there's been a negotiation of some kind. These ships are transiting not through the normal strait area in the center of the Strait of Hormuz, but up in the territorial waters of Iran.
And the closure of the Strait, as we've been hearing, has been a powerful bargaining chip for Iran. It's going to be a focus of the next 2 weeks, isn't it?
I think it's going to be a very big focus for the next 2 weeks. And one of the things I'm watching for is I think the one kind of advantage or the one kind of power the United States has, especially in a negotiation with Iran, is the ability to negotiate with Israel, to have Israel pull off. That's kind of the real big variable, I think, in this negotiation that we really haven't heard too much about. Will the Israelis agree to a ceasefire? Because that's really the one leverage the United States has over the Iranians to open it up. The Iranian control of the Strait of Hormuz has been almost absolute in some ways. It's definitely been a figure that I don't think the Americans counted on, at least to the level that we're seeing. And obviously, it has huge implications, as you're seeing in Australia and around the world, with the shortage of oil and other commodities that have been really been slacked for the past 5 weeks.